With regards, for those who are just tuning in, once again, we're interviewing Miss Stephanie M. Sawyer. And your website again?
It's friendsofstephaniemsawyer.com, and tomorrow is election day. Yes.
With regards to that, that's at eye level, right?
Yes.
So
As soon as you walk in there, it's at eye level on Court of Common Pleas, and go straight to the last button. 126 is the button you need to push.
Okay, very good. Section 17 and the
ARD.
Right, exactly.
And again, it's not that these alternative dispositions don't exist; they're just underutilized. We were just talking about that. I think that particularly, we're talking about non-violent criminals. So if you call up, don't say.
So that's the dividing line right there.
Exactly.
Okay.
To me, the dividing line is non-violent criminals, because if you're a violent criminal already, then there's got to be some other issues. One, you have to deal with protecting the public.
Oh, of course.
Number two, you have to get to the core of why this person is the way that they are in order for that to not happen again.
Right.
So that becomes a lot more complicated situation in terms of trying to rehabilitate the person. But for a non-violent criminal,
there should be other options, like you're saying.
There has to be, because if there's not, I think by throwing folks away and putting them in jail when they're not violent to begin with, they come out violent. And another issue that before the break that I wanted to kind of get to is the reason is because I think a lot of these judges are disconnected from the communities and the situations and people that they're judging. And one of the things that I think that they should require is they should require community service of judges. Judges should be required to routinely, and I know that's not a popular thing that judges don't like to hear, but I don't care, because it's right. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
That's true.
And I think that, for 15 years, as a single parent raised by a single parent and a sole proprietor, I'm not financially able to take a lot of pro bono cases because I've got bills to pay.
Right, I understand that. You got to eat.
And so what I decided was I had to figure out a way to make a community service and giving back to the community an integral part of my practice. And so I created the Free Legal Seminar.
Now, what is that?
Well, what it is this. I go out into the community, and I send a lot of flyers out, a lot of emails and so forth. And basically, if you have an organization, a community-based or church-based organization, like reentry groups, folks that are coming home from incarceration, there are a lot of programs for reentry groups. If you're in a church-based organization, and you have members who have questions about the law, but they can't afford to pay for an attorney for a consultation. Right. If they call my office, and I've been doing it for 15 years. They call my office and say, Steph, listen, we've got a group of 10, 20, 15 people, and they would like to have some legal questions answered along the areas that you practice, which is 4 areas. And I'll tell you those in a minute. And I'm like, sure. I come out on Saturdays, after work, sometimes even Sundays. So we come out to their facility and answer questions for free.
Are you still doing that to this day?
Absolutely am. And
do you have a number or anything?
Oh, sure. 215-988-9080 is my office number. That's 215-988-9080. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think that judges should do community service. So this is something that I'm going to continue to do, because I make it really clear that by giving you some direction, I'm not accepting your case. I'm not your attorney on the case, but I am giving you information. For example, some people don't know what they do or don't have to do if a police officer knocks on their door. For example, some people don't know that if you have a child and you don't have, and your child's father or mother, and you don't have a custody order, if there's no order in place, you both have equal rights to that child.
So you're sort of giving lessons,
exactly,
lessons, like lawyer
instructions.
Or instructions, right?
That's really good.
That is really good.
That's really good, because a lot of people don't even have a clue of what's going on in the system, and it's good to put this information out there. It's just another way of enhancing yourself, understanding what's going on in the world and your rights, and just knowing how this will help apply it. If you apply this information, now you can help maneuver a little bit better.
Exactly.
And like Stephanie said, learning what it is, you can now learn how to engage the enforcer, the authority, whoever that however it shows up, you will now be educated correctly how to respond.
Right, exactly.
And not, because a lot of it has to do on how we
It's your reaction.
respond.
Is it definitely,
Yes,
definitely.
yes. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Another area that I do employment discrimination work, and a lot of
You
people.
know, you talk really fast. I thought I talked fast.
The Gemini.
I know.
Communicate.
Only reason I said that, 'cause I'm a Sagittarius too, and we both talk fast, and I'm always
glad
being
you
told.
pointed that out
Yeah.
because I've been.
But I can understand you, but I just was saying
But
it
you're
for
right.
me.
I do need to slow down because I do have some important things that need to be heard. And
Yeah,
if you say things too fast.
inculcated, right?
Exactly.
So I'm writing these programs down, Stephanie, that you're
Don't forget your
mentioning.
point.
Can you
Yeah.
say it again, the one you just mentioned?
Well, I was talking the free legal seminars. And you can call the office at 215-988-9080. They're not designed for the individual. They're
for
designed
groups, right?
They're for
For
organizations. Any kind of organizations,
Yeah,
rather
is that a college?
community-based organization or a church-based organization, because we want to reach as many people as we can who may have questions but not necessarily know how to address it or how to even approach it. You know, for example, employment discrimination is something I've been doing for quite some time, and people don't realize that there are very specific rules in order to be able to seek redress. For example, if you missed a promotion because of your race, because of your gender, because of your sexual orientation, because of anything that the law says you can't take into account, you have a certain amount of time before you can that you have to address
Respond.
it. Exactly.
Okay.
So if you work for a private employer, like a non-governmental employer, then you have one amount of time, 300 days.
Wow.
If for the federal, for EEOC, if you want to go to the state agency, you only have 180 days. If it's a federal employment that you find that you've been discriminated against, you only have 45 days.
So you're saying you teach employment discrimination,
Yes.
and it will be based off of your particular job, according to how much time you have to file these claims and everything, and you teach them this.
Exactly. It's basically the difference is basically public versus non-public employer. In other words, some call it state, federal, or city government employee versus a non-governmental employee like Macy's.
And how many people will show up in your class or your
It varies. I've had a class as small as 5 or 6 people, and I've had a class as large as like 25 people.
See, I think this is very important that we get this information out. We need to have you back more often because
Sure.
it's more about also, it's not just about this election, this is about changing lives
Mm-hmm.
and informing people and educating them as well. So, you got my vote.
Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
definitely. I feel as though anyone that cares about people and family really needs to be not only supporting you, pushing that button. What was that button number again?
126.
Okay, yeah.
No, but I tell you, it's interesting that they're calling this an off election, a low turnout election. And it's very frustrating because, a judge will more profoundly affect your life than any legislator.
Well, see, that's
What
why.
does that
Wait.
mean, off election?
Because that means it's not like Obama or President Obama or something like a really big.
They say the election right after the presidential election is what they call the off election, but it shouldn't be.
I don't mean to
It's
step.
not as serious.
Yeah, I didn't mean to step on your words,
That's
but that's
okay.
what it means. That it is that serious. That's why they call it off election. That means that you don't need to pay attention to it.
Right.
And because on a local scale, even though the presidency really affects us on a larger scale, but really on a micro scale, those local elections are really important because it affects you locally and directly.
More directly.
So,
correct.
and that's why I would go with the whole thing for those that are unfamiliar with the word perception management. There are certain engineers in society that manage the way we perceive things, and we
And it's
perceive
no accident.
right. So if we perceive that this is an awful election, that we don't have to pay attention to it. So obviously there's a degree of importance, and from listening to you, you seem to be an ideal person. Hopefully, I would never have me and Vonda would never be in a situation that we would need family services like that. But for those that find themselves in that situation, you seem like you would be the ideal person that has the empathy and the discretion from your position as a judge to determine you don't have to do time. You can do these other things are available to you, and then for the best benefit of the child as well. If not for nothing, for those that have a heart and that could see beyond just retribution.
Right.
You are the ideal person that should be not only supported, that should be rallied around, and make sure that persons such as yourself are there helping. Yeah, definitely. You're definitely a benefit to society just by you making the time out of your schedule to come here to WPEB 88.1 to sit here mind to mind with Vonda and myself. This says a whole lot about your character and about you making the time to touch.
Well, I like to do community stuff more so than the mainstream stuff.
Right.
Because the mainstream stuff is more staged. It's more.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, your what do you call it, photo ops.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so we're running a grassroots campaign. We're hoping that people to people, neighborhood to neighborhood. Honestly, that's how it gets done. We're asking folks whenever I have a chance to encounter them. I ask them. I say, wherever it is you vote, can you just stay for 20 or 30 minutes? Why? Because if you go to the place that you vote, that's your neighborhood.
Okay.
So you're bound to see your neighbors.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's a good point.
You're bound to see your neighbors.
So you're saying just don't go in and out and
just it's like connect
with folks because quite frankly nobody thinks about it. And you said that hopefully you guys won't be in front of a judge, and I hope you won't either.
Right.
But chances are you know somebody who's
definitely.
You know somebody who's been in front of a judge, and you know somebody that will be in front of a judge. So my position is, if you're not going to be part of the solution, then you're part of the problem.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So step out the way, so to speak.
Step out.
I know you didn't say that. You didn't say step up.
Yeah,
right.
Don't step out. Right. Step up.
Right.
I mean,
participate.
We don't want to leave anybody behind.
Understand that.
We don't want you stepping beside. We want you to step up.
Mm-hmm. Right. Forget my misspeak there.
Yeah.
Right. I appreciate that. Because the correction.
I don't believe that anybody should be thrown away.
Oh no, I wasn't saying any of that. That was implied. I apologize for that. But yeah. But that's once again it goes to the whole aspect of you not even want to so-called throwaway people or throwaway society. That says a whole lot about a person with your character, and you're quite welcome. I feel as though when I remember when the station manager Renee McBride Williams was here with Vonda and I quite some time ago, and she mentioned about Section 18 that had to deal with the whole underground, like if there was an emergency where you need to go to I think it was Cobbs Creek Park, and how you do your escape routes, and you mentioned Section 17. Now you mentioned about the ARP, but what is Section 17?
Section 17 is really for like drug offenders.
Okay.
Mostly for those that have drug addiction problems, and therefore that drug addiction leads them to some criminal activity. It gives you an opportunity to get go through a period of probation. Excuse me, where you follow certain rules, and at the end of it, if you do it successfully, you will then be able to have your arrest record expunged. So that's a good thing.
Oh, that's really a really good thing. So for those
it's underutilized.
So once again, for those that are unfamiliar with the term expungement or to expunge something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Expungement is a process by which you have your record removed from general consumption, and I say general consumption because law enforcement and
they still always have access, so the 3-letter groups or whatever like that, they always have.
Exactly.
So is there like a statute of limitation for having expungement, or you have to wait a certain time period from the time you're released?
It depends upon the situation. You do have to wait from a period of time from your release. And when release means you have to be finished with probation and finished with your
probation period too.
Has to be done. But it really depends upon if you're part of these what they call diversionary programs. That's the ARD, the stuff I've
right. Okay.
They're called diversionary programs, which means they're diverting you.
So they speed up your time a little bit.
Exactly, exactly, and it diverts you from incarceration and other penalties. And so if you're in those programs, as part of it, you're allowed to have that arrest removed from the view of other people.
Right, so if you want to
look for a
basic job, right.
Right, if you went to look for a job and they did a criminal extract on you, it would not come up.
Right. So on the application, if a person had expungement, then they wouldn't have to feel no type of way by putting I never been or do this
No.
Okay.
Let me say this to you, and that's where the loophole is. Because we have had some a new law within the last couple of years, I can't pinpoint exact when it was, they're not allowed to ask about arrest anymore.
Okay.
But if it's a conviction
a criminal, a felony,
a felony.
Right.
First of all, that's probably not getting expunged. All right?
Okay.
They're probably not going to have that.
So if you got a couple bodies, they're pretty much pretty sure not that's
Yeah.
not getting written up.
That's
So
not-
everybody gonna know about that,
that's
right?
not
Okay,
going
right,
exactly.
okay.
But my point to you is that what happens is when people are asked on an application, a job application,
Okay.
whether or not they've been arrested before, be sure not to check no.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Be sure to keep it blank.
Okay.
Don't
Oh.
answer it.
Then no, that's even right there.
Don't answer it because if you keep it blank, first of all, you get to say, well, there's a new law passed, and that's an illegal question to ask, and it's not relevant, and so I'd like
That would worth the price of admission right there.
I would abstain from answering it. The reason why is if you answer it and you have been arrested,
Then you could get
then you're in trouble
liable.
for lying on your application.
That was a master plan move
And it
that you
goes
said
back
that. Yeah.
to what she teaches.
Right. Exactly.
So how you can
That's
know
why I said
how to
that's what I said.
respond.
That was worth the price of admission right there. You had to
Thank
wait till
you.
near the end of the program, but that, I mean, not saying that prior
No,
to
I
that
got you.
everything, but right then and there, that's even outside the box thinking. Even though you're filling in the box, but
Also, they don't know because some people will leave it blank and then they get questioned, but they don't know how to respond.
right, exactly.
How
Said the law.
Stephanie
They just
told
put it
them,
right, exactly.
Like she gave the correct answer,
'Cause
because
if
they
it-
don't even know how to respond to that.
Because if they have a record expunged, sometimes they think they have the right to say no.
Right.
I've never been arrested. But the fact of the matter is, if it ever comes up, and I don't know what context into which, say for example, it's always available to law enforcement.
Mhm.
So say something else happens, and in the process of an investigation,
Right.
it comes
You get
up.
flagged on the computer, right? Okay.
Exactly. Then they find out later, oh, you
Oh.
told us you were never arrested,
Yeah.
but in fact you were. We're not saying that you were guilty of what you were arrested for, but you were untruthful on this application, and that is grounds for dismissal.
Right. Wow.
See, and now they don't know, and like she said, when they ask that question, you leave it blank, but they'll still ask you.
And then that's when you hit them with there's a new
How
law
she
been passed.
phrased
Right.
the
Exactly.
answer is like you got to know how to answer, how to
Exactly.
respond, and a lot of times they don't even know how to respond. They start spilling the beans.
You just say, I respectfully abstain from answering that question because that question is not a legal question to be asked.
I even noticed something different there. Even your tonality had changed too. So it's definitely what I detected. Your attitude. So you can't be cocky about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I ain't gonna tell you. No, you can't go there.
Now, what
you
if they
can't go there.
continue
Okay.
to try to extract the information? Will
Yeah.
you just responded,
Well, I would,
Respectfully.
if it were me, I would say, respectfully, let me tell you about why I'm well suited for this job.
okay.
I would just
With the benefits.
exactly. I would just
Diverted.
divert from there, and if they point blank say, I want to know whether you've been arrested or you have not been arrested, then you say, well, respectfully, I thought I was here for to be interviewed for a job. And since it's not legal for you to ask that question, I really want to abstain from answering that question, and I'd like to direct my responses to be specific to how I can benefit your organization.
Right.
Wow, this is coming from a judge-elect coming up, Miss Stephanie M. Sawyer. And for those, once again, because we're coming close to we're not quite there, but I'm looking at the clock here.
126 is
Right,
that's the button you need
Right.
to push.
So for those who want to explore you more and find out about you more, what is your website?
friendsofstephaniemsawyer.com, or you can simply just call the office at 215-988-9080, because honestly, we could use all the assistance that we can get, bringing our message throughout Philadelphia that folks have to show up and they got to come out and vote tomorrow, 126.
Almost definitely. This is more of a trivial aside question, but it kind of coincides.
Mhm.
You must be a master chess player. The reason, because I'm listening to where you're strategizing about the box and not moving or maneuvering, but you got like 20 plus years of experience behind your back,
Yes.
so under your belt, so to speak. So I know you've seen a lot.
Yeah, I've seen a whole lot, and like I said to you at the beginning of this hour, it's very interesting to me that folks theorize about how to help folks as opposed to actually just rolling up your sleeves and digging in and just trying to do what you can to help. And that's part of why I even decided to run. It's taking a toll on my children. My son is Julian, and he's 20, and my daughter Alicia, she's 13.
Okay.
And it's taken a toll on them because they see how stressed their mom is, and
Right.
they actually are helping with, you know, passing out literature, and they come out with me, and so. But I think it's a growing experience for everyone to let them know that, you know, you're a part of this society.
Right.
So you can't, you know, you have to do what it is that you can do. You know, I think that my blessings come from my belief that, you know, doing good for other folks brings that good to you. I'm a big believer in karma.
Oh yeah, that's right. What goes around comes around.
It does. Trust me.
It always comes back when you're gonna least afford it.
But
yeah, but the benefits also outweigh the negatives too. You know.
Think so.
Yeah, I definitely know so. And this has really been a really great and wonderful experience. What do you think about that, Vonda? As far as her, Stephanie making the time to come here to the program here, Mind and Mind here at WPEB, and I know your schedule is really filled, but. It's just an honor and privilege to have.
I think it's a good thing that we
made a connection, right? I definitely,
going even after the election.
Absolutely.
Oh, most definitely.
Because
Absolutely.
she has so much to offer. You know, it's bigger than this. This is an ongoing thing.
Almost definitely.
It's
The lives you're touching.
Transformation. So she's bringing services, information, you know, to help aid and assist us here. Not just in the West Philadelphia community, but it will expand.
Oh, definitely touching many more. Exactly.
And germinate throughout the other sections of the city. Because what she's doing, she is a teacher, she is a leader, she is a transformer. So if you take these services that she is offering, and like she said, she can't do pro bonus because she has to
Yeah, exactly.
pay the bills. But she's still giving her time. She's sowing still into you. She's sowing her gift into you by offering her aid and assistance on things that you aren't educated on. They don't teach this in school. You know, they might have somewhat of something, like a little piece of something, but she's giving you professional information.
And experience, exactly.
From a professional lawyer, you know. And I think you need to grab a hold of this.
So your church communities or your health programs or organizations, oh, definitely.
Have her come.
Take advantage of it.
Come into any classroom setting. You can form a classroom setting in your home.
In fact, I used to teach I was an adjunct professor for CCP in the criminal justice program.
Okay.
And I was also an instructor in the criminal justice program at Kaplan University, which is formerly CHI.
Okay.
So there are a lot of criminal justice programs about things like criminal procedure, knowing what you can and can't do. I've gone to a lot of what do you call those? A lot of the daycares.
Preliminary. Okay.
Daycares. Why? Because there's a lot of family court issues there.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that's really it. Your constituency is right
Correct.
there, right?
And so, I mean, I try my best to wherever I can, you know, possibly render some.
That's a master move.
Yeah, only because it's impossible for one individual to mass represent everybody. But keep this in mind, as a judge, the way I've structured it, this is something I can continue to do.
Right, oh, without question.
You know, because I'm not representing you, but I'm giving you information. Say, for example, if for domestic violence, I explain to people about protection from abuse orders, how you can obtain them, where you can obtain them, you know, what provisions need to be in them, how you include or don't include the children when you have a PFA, protection from abuse order. You know, that's another whole big piece as to what people can do. And I think the employment discrimination piece, more often than not, the way to protect yourself is with a paper order trail. He or she who writes the last usually wins.
Okay, so it's really a paper game.
No doubt. It is see, you know, it's unfortunate that it's not always about what real justice is.
That means that I'm a good person. I'm a good person,
like.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
It's about what it looks like. It's what you said about the perception.
Right.
It certainly, and the courts are mainly about perception.
Right.
Because what people don't understand is that credibility is something that's determined on the trial court level. You can't appeal a case because you feel like somebody lied.
Right.
Credibility is something that is tested on a trial court level. So it's about perception. It's about what they think the truth is based upon the information that's provided at that time. So it's really important, and it's unfortunate, but in this country, if you get poor representation, you get about as much justice as you can pay for sometimes.
I was thinking that when you mentioned about the Section 17, just to repeat things, it seems that if you just had a everyone knows. The public defender. Thank you. Read my mind. You pretty much might not get that advice. I know some.
Let me defend them a little bit because I used to work as an intern in the public defender's office. The problem with public defenders is not competency because Philadelphia public defenders are nationally ranked for a very terrific program.
Okay.
The problem is the
volume of
If you have 50 cases to deal with every single day.
Oh wow.
It's not possible for you to have explored all possibilities on all cases because there's only 24 hours in a day.
So that means you're gonna be a client for the hair club of men because you're gonna be pulling your hair out.
So my point is most of the public defenders I know are pretty good because they come from a good program.
Understood.
That means they have the resources. Whenever you have this kind of case, they have the resources available for them to know what to do. The problem is that they have too many cases.
I can see that, definitely.
So is it not enough?
A public defender?
Correct.
But once again, we're dealing with some design issues too. And,
you better know it.
Okay.
Exactly the problem. And so, you do need to get private counsel to the extent that you want specialized, focused attention on just your case.
Okay.
If I come to court and I have one, maybe two cases that day, and the public defender has 50 cases.
Yeah, so you're more robust and more prepared,
exactly. It's just a matter of crunching the numbers, and so they may not sit down and have the time to express to each of their clients
and give you a hug and all that, right? And hold your hand,
all of that stuff, and say all of your options. You can do this, you could do that, you could do the other. They just don't have that kind of time. And then what's really bad is that a lot of folks that don't have the specialized attention. They tell them to hit the stand, and they're not properly advised on what to and what not to say.
I was thinking that too. It seemed like that's I guess it would be a more off mic thing where that's almost, I'll say that off mic. But you gave me some ideas, I'll put it that way. And I know we're at the close of the program.
And I want to come back as many times.
Oh, you're more than welcome to come back. You're more than welcome to come back. Once again, the name of the program is Mind to Mind. My name is Shema'yah Bay. I'm in the studios with Vonda, Kline. Our very, very special guest is Miss Stephanie M. Sawyer.
And one more time, Miss Stephanie Sawyer, can you give your information and contact out?
Yes, please. First of all and foremost, tomorrow, please come out and vote. 126. Come out and push button 126.
And what's tomorrow's date?
And tomorrow is the 21st of May. It is election day. It is the primary, and it is the day that we select 6 new Court of Common Pleas judges, of which I hope to be one. And if you want to contact the office is 215-988-9080, or learn more about me or the office, feel free to go on the website at www.friendsofstephaniemsawyer.com. And you can also learn more about the office at www.stephaniemsawyer.com. The Friends of Stephanie M. Sawyer will tell you a lot about my candidacy, and StephanieMSawyer.com will tell you a lot about the office. And before I leave you, this last thing that I also want to make sure that people know, I always love to do and give free internships to a lot of folks that are in school that might want to have some kind of legal background. I typically I've had people that come in for 3 or 4 or 6 months, and by the time they leave, they have a good understanding of several areas of the law. Maybe they may have never had any office training before, so they learn a little bit about how to write a letter. They learn, So these are the things that I try to do as just part of the practice.
That's really good.
That's real good. And before we close, I'm just gonna leave you with what we opened up with. So keep your focus. The secret of success is concentration. The cause of failure is broken focus. Examine your life. Disconnect from every distraction. Fix your focus. Make tomorrow so big in your mind that yesterday dies.